Among the three generations of Spider-Man, Tom Holland is the youngest, being only 15 years old when Iron Man called him to join the Civil War. He made a grand entrance by snatching Captain America's shield. Although Captain America is his idol, he has another godlike figure. As a seasoned blogger, Tom Holland loves to document his daily life. He transforms into a war correspondent, speaking to the camera. He narrates the entire Civil War process. Would you follow such a blog? After Iron Man called him to join the Civil War, Spider-Man reached the peak of his life and donned a high-tech suit. Tom Holland's Spider-Man has decent abilities, single-handedly defeating the Winter Soldier and Falcon. However, he is a bit talkative. Compared to the first generation, he is still a bit lacking. The third version of Spider-Man, following the previous two generations, no longer tells the origin story but explores the mental journey of becoming Spider-Man. From the initial, with great power comes great responsibility, to rediscovering himself, this ordinary person turned superhero has gained many fans. After the Civil War, Iron Man personally sent him home and arranged for Happy to be his contact person. Whenever there is a new mission, Happy would notify him and deliver a new spider suit to Parker. In the blink of an eye, 2 months have passed, and Parker has been eagerly awaiting a new mission but has not received any response from Happy. At school, he is distracted and rushes out of the classroom as soon as the bell rings, taking advantage of the empty corridors. He jumps over the fence and excitedly heads to a secluded alley, where he changes into his spider suit and starts doing good deeds. He lightly taps his chest and says, "Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is here." He first catches a car thief, then helps an old lady with directions. When he has nothing to do, he swings around and greets his fans. He also practices walking on webs at high altitudes and sits on the front of a train, brushing up on his skills. He responds to fans' requests but occasionally makes small mistakes, like mistaking a car owner for a thief, which leads to some angry outbursts from the car owner. He reports his daily good deeds to Happy, hoping to gain Tony's recognition one day. He wants to be like other superheroes, appearing in time whenever something big happens and turning danger into safety. While he is studying Star Wars Episode 1, an opportunity finally comes. A group of robbers wearing Avengers masks breaks into a bank. They use alien technology to take out the ATM machine and prepare to pack the money. This device was actually something Loki casually threw on Earth after using it. It was later picked up and modified by a rescue team. At this moment, Parker excitedly closed the door quietly. While he was studying what kind of appearance to make a dazzling debut, he was shocked the next second. Actually, this bank robbery scene also comes from the comics. One of the robbers picked up a weapon and accidentally destroyed the bank and the store across the street. Parker, being strong, immediately rushed to rescue the store owner, a place he often visited. While Spider-Man went to save the owner, the robbers had already escaped. He then reported the incident to Happy right away. However, Happy thought it was just an ordinary robbery and there was no need to bother Tony. Besides, Tony had just sold Stark Tower, and Happy was busy moving and had no time to deal with these minor issues. Worried about getting home too late and being scolded by May, he had to sneak back into his bedroom through the window and carefully close the door. As he turned around, his friend, who was supposed to be playing with Lego, was surprisingly waiting for him in the room. At this moment, his friend was stunned to find out that his best friend was actually Spider-Man. Now that his identity was exposed so quickly, he had no choice but to tell his friend to keep his identity a secret, or the consequences would be unimaginable. His friend reluctantly agreed. However, what followed almost drove Spider-Man crazy. Having such a friend made him feel like his hypochondria was instantly cured. During gym class, the girls were all talking about the Avengers. To show off in front of the girls, his friend actually said that Parker knew Spider-Man. The girl Parker had a crush on invited him to her house for a party. Another male classmate suggested that Parker invite Spider-Man to join them. Helplessly, Parker had to agree. In the evening, Parker changed his clothes, ready to show off at the party. However, an explosion in the distance caught his attention. Parker rushed towards the explosion and found out that the alien weapons used by the bank robbers were purchased from there. They had modified alien technology left over from the Battle of New York into powerful advanced weapons. The weapons they had were made from Ultron's arm. They not only had black hole grenades but also Chitauri railguns. Parker, being strong, initially wanted to catch a few of them, but he was directly knocked away by a modified mechanical glove. The robbers then drove away. Parker quickly shot his web to stick to the car's tail and followed behind. The robbers fired a shot at Parker, causing him to be thrown off. Parker quickly jumped onto the rooftop to continue the chase. Just as he was about to catch up, a mysterious person appeared behind him and dragged Parker into the sky. Due to Tony's previous fear of falling from high altitudes, he had specially equipped Parker's suit with a parachute and a positioning system. As the altitude increased, the suit automatically deployed the parachute. While descending, he was caught by the parachute. Fortunately, Iron Man arrived in time to rescue him from the water. Iron Man's care for Spider-Man can be described as meticulous. The suit tailored for him allows Tony to know his whereabouts at any time. When Parker is in danger, he arrives immediately. Besides these, the suit has heating and drying functions after getting wet. These features exist because of Tony's past experiences. This shows that Tony is exceptionally good to Parker. Parker, moved, said that he could handle such a small matter himself and that Tony didn't need to come all the way. But Tony was not inside the suit. At that moment, Tony was abroad attending a charity event. He told Parker to focus on his studies and not to participate in dangerous activities without permission, just to be a friendly neighbor. Report these matters to Happy, and he will arrange them. But Parker believed he could do more. After saying this, Mark 47 went into offline mode and started to return. On the way home, Parker picked up the weapon debris that had fallen from the car earlier. The mysterious man was once the leader of a cleanup crew, named Adrian Toombs, an electronics engineer nicknamed Vulture. The actor's real name is Michael Keaton. Yes, he is the actor who played Batman. After the Avengers battle, the Chitauri technology left on Earth is a key item in this film. Most of the equipment used by the villains in the film is modified from this black technology. This organization is called the Department of Damage Control, which is responsible for cleaning up the mess after the superheroes' battles. They possess extremely advanced technology that allows them to complete cleanup and reconstruction work in a short time. They are also responsible for recovering and handling some alien equipment. However, this lucrative business was forcibly taken over by Iron Man's Department of Damage Control. The female supervisor appearing in the film is the founder of this company, Hog. In the comics, he is a friend of S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury. After Tony and Jin left the company, Hog persuaded Nick Fury to have S.H.I.E.L.D. fund him to buy back all the shares, becoming the owner of the company. Because his business was taken, Toombs was filled with hatred for Iron Man and used the alien equipment that was not handed over to create high-tech weapons, eventually selling them to criminals for huge profits. It is said that the poor rely on thrift, the rich rely on technology, but Toombs made his fortune by scavenging alien junk. Because his subordinates' exposure might attract the Avengers, he could lose everything. He had to ensure his family's livelihood, so the weapons could only be sold discreetly and not displayed publicly. However, his subordinate didn't take it seriously. Toombs, furious, fired him on the spot, and the subordinate retorted with a death wish. After dealing with the disobedient subordinate, he arranged for another accomplice to retrieve the lost weapon. Meanwhile, Parker and Ned are studying alien weapons. They knocked off the energy core from the weapon. Apparently, Parker already knew that someone was using alien technology to modify human weapons. Just as the two were about to test the alien weapon, two of Toombs' men tracked the energy source and found them. To uncover the truth, Parker hid and secretly shot a spider tracker at them. Then, using the 3D imaging on his suit, he found out their location. Eventually, they pinpointed it to Maryland. At this moment, Parker remembered that the school's field trip competition was not far from there. So, the next day, they took the school bus and naturally arrived near the destination. Before setting off, Parker removed the tracker that Tony had installed on his suit. He wanted to handle this matter with his own abilities. Ned accidentally unlocked all the hidden features of the suit, and the AI assistant Karen was officially activated. Not only could it navigate fully automatically, but it could also see through walls and hear distant criminals' conversations. Then, it switched to instant kill mode, and it could even shoot 576 different web functions. But he didn't know how to use them at all. Karen's voice was actually provided by Jennifer Connelly. She played Betty in the Ang Lee version of Hulk and is Vision's wife in real life. At this moment, Toombs appeared from the sky. It turned out their target this time was to rob a truck transporting goods to Stark Industries. Immediately, he threw out a device. The device opened a portal-like passage on the truck's roof. Then, he jumped in. Inside were all kinds of alien technology equipment. After getting what he wanted, Toombs prepared to leave quickly. Unexpectedly, Parker shot webs and snatched his bag. During the fight, because he was unfamiliar with the new features of the suit, Parker couldn't show his full strength. During their struggle, the backpack broke off, and Parker fell into the truck, knocking off the opening device. He got up and jumped, but ended up knocking himself out. When Parker woke up again, he found himself in a sealed warehouse. Without a code, there was no way out. So, the bored Parker started unlocking new skills of the suit. Soon, Spider-Man mastered the new features, but then he suddenly realized that only 37 minutes had passed. Moreover, there was an academic competition early the next morning. Unable to stand it, Parker decided to find a way to escape. He went back into the truck to look for something useful. Among the items, there was even Ultron's head. Then, he found a similar energy core. At this moment, the AI assistant detected that the energy core was extremely dangerous and would explode if exposed to radiation. This made Parker realize that they had been carrying a portable bomb all along. He quickly picked up his phone to notify Ned, but there was no signal in the warehouse. In a panic, Parker started trying different methods. After more than 200 failed attempts, Parker successfully cracked the code to the main door and opened it. He followed a truck to escape. By this time, the academic competition had ended, and Parker's team had won the championship. They were preparing to go through security checks before visiting the Washington Monument. On his way back, Parker contacted Ned and told him that the energy core was very dangerous. Before he could finish, the girl Parker had a crush on took the phone from Ned. She blamed Parker for often disappearing at critical moments. Ned then put the phone through the security scanner. The X-ray radiation fully activated the energy core. After the students entered the elevator, the energy core began to release immense power, causing an explosion that trapped everyone inside. Parker arrived at the tower's exterior. Karen informed him that the elevator would fall in 2 minutes. Parker immediately deployed the spider drone from his chest, which discovered a small window on the side that could be used to enter the tower. He quickly climbed up. When he reached a high point, Spider-Man felt a fear of heights. After overcoming his fear, he tried to break the glass with his web, but it turned out to be made in China. At this moment, the SWAT team also arrived. On the scene, Parker had a quick idea and used a helicopter to perform an extreme maneuver. As he entered the elevator, it began to fall. Parker shot his web at the elevator and used his legs for support, managing to hold the elevator in place. Due to the weight, Spider-Man was also dragged down. He shot another web to firmly hold the elevator and slowly moved it upward. The rescue team arrived at this time. They successfully rescued everyone. After this incident, Spider-Man became a hot topic of discussion. Parker, however, lost interest in studying. To find the whereabouts of the Vulture, Parker started skipping classes. Back home, Parker discovered that his suit had an automatic recording function. Using facial recognition, he identified the person who had bought the alien weapons. Parker then followed the clues to find him and learned from him the next transaction location of the Vulture, which was on a ferry. Parker rushed over and found them in the middle of a deal. He used the spider drone to detect where they had hidden the items. However, Tony, who had anticipated Parker causing trouble, called him. Parker lied, saying he was at band practice. After Tony saw through his lie, Parker hung up the phone and began his own operation. His actions alerted the FBI, who had been lying in wait. Their capture plan failed due to Spider-Man's interference. At this moment, the Vulture flew in to help the criminals escape. Unwilling to back down, Spider-Man immediately engaged in a fight with him. During the battle, Parker used an electric shock to snatch the Vulture's weapon. But the weapon did not stop shooting at Parker. He quickly used his web to completely wrap himself up. However, in the next second, the weapon directly split the entire cruise ship in half. At this moment, Vulture took his men and took the opportunity to escape. Facing the cruise ship being cut in half, Parker immediately started the rescue mode. He asked Karen to analyze the cruise ship. The support points were then wrapped together with webs. Spider-Man from Holland is not just relying on high-tech. His own physical strength is also not to be underestimated. He thought this would stop the ship from splitting, but the webs couldn't bear the weight of the cruise ship and started to break one by one. Seawater kept pouring into the cabin, and seeing the passengers on the ship in imminent danger, Parker leapt and shot webs to both sides. He used his body to tightly hold the cruise ship together. This scene seemed to pay homage to the original Spider-Man. Just when he was about to give in, a sudden force started to slowly bring the ship together. It turned out that Tony arrived just in time. Tony also brought raspberry thrusters and attached them to both sides of the ship. Then Mary from the family merged the cruise ship. Iron Man then transformed into a repairman and quickly welded the gaps, completely resolving the disaster. Afterward, Parker, who was eager to prove himself, was deeply affected because his blind confidence almost caused a catastrophe. Tony found Parker to hold him accountable because Parker had unlocked the suit without permission and hid this action from Tony, which made Tony very upset. This reminded me of what Captain America also said to Tony. Obviously, geniuses always quickly realize their problems and correct them, then pass on the experience to the next generation. After losing the suit, Parker was very sad. He began to focus on his own life and studies. Soon, his academic performance improved rapidly, and he even confessed to his crush, who accepted and agreed to be his date for the evening party. After Aunt May helped him dress up, Parker went to his crush's house, but the one who opened the door was Vulture. What a coincidence, he was the father of his crush. Later, Vulture drove them to the party. On the way, Parker became distracted and spoke incoherently, which made the cautious Vulture suspicious. When Vulture learned that Parker was not in the elevator during the previous incident, he basically confirmed that Parker was Spider-Man. The clueless crush had no idea that her little boyfriend and her father were already at odds. After arriving at the school dance, Vulture let his daughter get out of the car first. Then he pulled out a gun and warned Parker that if his family found out about this or if he continued to interfere with his money-making, he would kill Parker and his family. Parker, feeling uneasy, arrived at the party. Looking at his beloved crush in front of him, he was very conflicted. In the end, he still gave up the goddess to uphold justice. Then, Parker sped all the way to the hallway. He took out his homemade suit from under the wardrobe. But as soon as he stepped outside, he was punched away by one of Vulture's men. The web shooter was also knocked to the ground, just as Parker was about to pick it up. Just as he was about to deal with Parker, Ned picked up the web shooter and saved Parker. After retrieving the web shooter, Parker easily dealt with the enemy in front of him. Then, he forcibly took a classmate's car. But without a driver's license, Parker couldn't drive at all. Parker asked Ned to locate his phone. It turned out he had left his phone in Vulture's car earlier. At this moment, Ned told Parker that he had contacted Happy. But Happy was preparing to catch a flight and didn't pay attention. This made Parker realize that today was the day Tony was moving. Happy was transferring the assets from Stark Tower, and Vulture's target this time was to hijack the equipment on the transport plane. Parker immediately stepped on the gas pedal and, following the phone's location, arrived nearby. Then, Spider-Man demonstrated his true side positioning. Parker entered the factory. At this moment, only Vulture was left inside. Seeing Parker's appearance, Vulture was very calm. To ensure the mission's success, he had to eliminate the meddlesome Spider-Man first. As he spoke, Vulture's wings flew towards Parker. Parker confidently thought he had dodged the attack. But Vulture never intended to confront him head-on. Parker was pinned down by the collapsing building. An ordinary person would have been dead by now. This might have been his most helpless moment. No matter how much he called out, no one came to save him. At this moment, Parker looked at his reflection in the water and remembered Tony's words. Tony's words reignited Parker's fighting spirit. Then, Parker used all his strength and finally stood up from the rubble. Just as Vulture was taking off, Parker chased after him in time. Soon, Vulture was behind the transport plane. Vulture didn't deal with Parker immediately. He went to the bottom of the plane, opened the portal again, and entered inside. However, the equipment in front of him left Vulture in awe. Chitauri army weapons, boxes of arc reactors, and Tony's Mark armor. Any one of these boxes would be enough for him for several lifetimes. At this moment, Parker triggered the alarm outside the plane. This infuriated Vulture. He then put on his equipment and took Parker into the air. After the web broke, Parker was instantly swept to the side of the engine. Fortunately, he used his web to tie up the fan, narrowly escaping danger. Parker kicked open the engine and climbed onto the plane. At this moment, Vulture attacked again. He tried to cut Parker's web, but accidentally damaged the plane's main engine. The plane instantly went out of control, heading straight for the ground. Parker struggled to stand up. The furious Vulture charged at him, then pinned Parker to the ground and started pounding him. Vulture had no intention of killing Parker. He just wanted to make some money to support his family. Parker was beaten without any ability to fight back. Just as Toomes was about to leave with a whole box of reactors, Parker shot webs to stick to the box, but Toomes easily cut them off. However, in the next second, Toomes' wings malfunctioned under the weight. Parker quickly rushed into the fire to save Toomes. When Happy arrived, Parker was already gone. At the scene, only neatly arranged equipment and Toomes himself were left, with a note from Parker next to him. Afterwards, Happy went to the school to thank Parker and took him to the new Avengers base. Tony also thought he performed very well this time, so he invited Parker to officially join the Avengers and gave him a brand new suit. Although this time, his efforts earned Iron Man's approval, Parker chose to decline. At this moment, he felt he should do more down-to-earth things and be a good neighbor. Seeing Parker's significant change, Tony still respected his decision. As for announcing the new Avengers member to the public, only he and Pepper handled it. But in the end, Tony still gave him a surprise. When Parker put on the suit again, Spider-Man would start a new chapter. At the end of the film, Toomes was put in prison. Facing his accomplice who swore to kill Spider-Man, Toomes actually chose to keep Parker's secret. Maybe he owed Parker a favor. Alright, that's it for this episode. Thank you to all the fans for your support. See you next time.